Okay, Tatum scores 28 points, hits six threes, and the Celtics lose by 19. Wow, didn't see that coming. Welcome to FaZe Fantasy Live with your host, Lonnie Z. Welcome to the show, everybody. Today we have a great show. We're going to break down game 2 of the NBA Finals, Celtics v. Warriors in San Francisco's Chase Center. It was a great game. At least the first half was. So that game started off where it really looked like we were in for a great night of basketball. The Boston Celtics came out firing. The Warriors came out firing. Both teams appeared to be at the top of their games, and it just seemed like it was going to be a total, nail biter to the end, maybe a last possession type of a game. But if you watched the game, you found out in the second half that that is not what happened. At the end of the first period, Boston trailed 31-30. They had opportunities to lead at half, but Golden State, being the savvy team that they are, they took a 52-50 lead at halftime. And if you're Boston, you're thinking that's not bad. 52-50, I'm on the road. I'm down by 2 points. It's halftime. We have them right where we want them. But then that third period came. And in that third period, the Warriors scored 35 points. The Celtics only scored 14 points. The Warriors' defense was pretty good. The fourth period comes. Boston beats the Warriors 24-20, but it was too little too late. The Warriors end up scoring 107 total points, Boston 88 points. Let's look at some of the numbers so we can kind of better break this game down and see what happened. The Boston Celtics historically in these playoffs have played every other game good. And a great game, a not so good game, and it doesn't even have to be a whole game that's bad for them. They showed themselves in the Miami series to if they have one horrible quarter, their horrible quarters are exactly what I'm calling them, horrible. They play horrible in one quarter for some reason. And it happened to be the third period. This time the Warriors just came out firing. But I said in my last show that the Boston Celtics, when they turn the ball over, that's when they're bad. So let's look at some of the numbers. Field goals were about the same as they were in game 1. Boston shot a little worse than they did. They were 30 of 80 with a 37.5 field goal percentage. That's not going to cut it. In game 1, they were 50.6%, 43 of 85. Now, we knew that they couldn't keep that up. The Warriors stayed kind of the same. They were 39 for 86 in game 2 and 39 for 88 in game 1. So they were 45.3% in game 2, 44.3% in game 1. Not much of a difference. They stayed very consistent. From behind the arc, both teams in game 2 went 15 of 37. They both were 40.5%. Identical numbers from behind the arc. In game 1, Boston shot that 51.2%. And we said Golden State knows that they can't keep that up, and they didn't. Golden State was 42% from behind the arc in game 1. Free throw percentage, that's just going to be kind of average. The Warriors dropped a few percents. They went down to 70% from 73%. The Celtics went down from 81% to 76%. So they both dropped a little bit there. The Celtics dropped a little bit more. Rebounds in game 1, they were identical. Each team had 39 rebounds. Game 2, the Celtics out-rebounded the Warriors by 1, 43-42. So we're looking at 1 rebound difference in 2 games. These two teams are really, really playing these games were kind of identical games, except for one glaring stat, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. Offensive rebounds, the Celtics only had 6 in this game. They only had 7 in the last game. The Warriors only had 6 in game 2. They had 12 in game 1. Assists, 24 for the Celtics, 25 for the Warriors. Game 1 was 33 and 24. So, blocks. In game 2, the Warriors only had 2 blocks. The Celtics had 7 blocks, which is one more than game 1. So far we're like, how did the Celtics just get blown out of the water? What happened that was so different that they got blown out of the water? I mean, even the Warriors score 108 and 107, so they're averaging 107.5 points per game. Same exact score, 1 point difference, but the Warriors win by 19. The next stat is where it all happens. This is where Boston loses games, and this is where they lose momentum. Okay, in game 1, they had 13 turnovers. That's about average in the NBA, 12, 13 turnovers. That's about average. The Warriors had 14. In game 2, Boston had 19 turnovers, and the Warriors only had 12. Points off turnovers, the Warriors only had 15 points off of those 19 turnovers, though. They only had 15 points off of those 19 turnovers. So you're thinking, well, the turnovers didn't matter much. Turnovers mean way more than just the points scored off of them. Turnovers shut down momentum. They shut down drives. When Boston is in a crucial spot that can bring them within 3 or whatever, they're making bad decisions, bad passes. And we saw that again and again in game 2. The Celtics simply have to take care of the ball. The other area that defined this game was points in the paint. In game 1, Boston outscored Golden State 34-26 in the paint. In game 2, the Warriors scored 40 points in the paint, and Boston only scored 24. So if we look at these stats and we look at these numbers, we're kind of seeing what's going on. The team that takes care of the ball a little better and scores more in the paint has won both games, and they've won them pretty handedly. That's just old school basketball. That's just old school mentality. You've got to take care of the ball, and you have to get into the paint, and you have to score. And I know that this Steph Curry has changed the game forever, how he shoots 3-pointers. And so everyone wants to do that. And the game totally has changed and evolved. But you have to be able to get back to basics too. You have to be able to get back to old school, and you have to be able to get in the paint and score buckets. These two teams are very evenly matched. We've said that before, and this could be a series for the ages. The Golden State Warriors are true hardened champions. They won 3 out of 5 championships. Then they didn't make the playoffs for 2 seasons. And now they're back in it. They remember that. They remember how it felt not to make it. They remember hearing all the murmurs and all the, analysts talking about how they were done. They couldn't do it anymore. There's no way that they're going to make it. Well, I think they're showing everyone that they are better than a lot of us thought they were. I've never doubted Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, and I don't doubt them in this series. They go back to Boston, tied 1-1, and they're looking to go up 2-1. So that's a recap of what happened. Boston not taking care of the ball. If you look inside the numbers, just individual numbers, Jason Tatum scored 28 points. The next Celtic in line was 17 points by Jaylen Brown. But where the other 3 starters, Horford, Williams, Smart, they had combined 6 points, 2 points each. Marcus Smart, the Celtics need more than defense out of Marcus Smart to win this. They need him to put the ball in the basket too. Robert Williams, he's got to step up. And Al Horford, once again, it's Al, is it young Al? Is it old Al? This was old Al that showed up. Grant Williams only had 6 points. Once again, Derek White, he contributed. He got 12 points coming off the bench. But when you only have 3 players in double figures, you're not going to win that game against a Warriors team. Boston, 88 points. That was horrible. For the Warriors, on the other hand, Steph Curry had 29. He got 17 off the bench from Jordan Poole, who we said needed to have a good game, and we thought that he would bounce back and have a better game, and he certainly did. And then after that, it's just kind of, you know, Kevon Looney with 12, Wiggins with 11, Klay Thompson with 11. Klay hasn't even got going yet. So the Warriors haven't even put together that package yet. They haven't even put together a game where Steph and Klay are both lighting it up. And then you're getting a little more out of Wiggins, you're getting a little more out of Poole, and Draymond's, getting you some double digits there. So they haven't even had a great game yet. And they're 1-1. They scored less than in game one, and they end up winning game two. So their defense was much better. And Boston just once again, they couldn't take care of the ball. What does it mean to play in a series against the Boston Celtics, to go into that stadium and to, play under all those banners? That's what they asked Steph Curry, and this is what he said.
Oh, Boston. Yeah, this is special. Like, it's a historic team, the dynasties from, the 80s and how many championships they won, over the course of the years. All the different highlights you watch that just have a different iconic look when you see it on TV. Just watching Larry Legend do what he did in his entire career, even looking at the Boston-LA series, KG and, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Rondo, and getting a championship here. KG's hilarious post-game. Anything is possible, whatever. So there's a lot of history in this city and in this building, and should be an amazing atmosphere, out there on the court tomorrow and Friday.
Okay, so Steph definitely knows that it's a little different going back to Boston than it is some other stadiums or some other arenas because of the great history and tradition that's there. But Steph Curry has some history and tradition from his own career. This guy is a stone cold assassin. I said it last time. I'll say it again. He even had kind of a little chuckle and a smile on his face when he's answering that question, because I think he's really up for these types of challenges. I think these are the types of things that get this guy going. I definitely would not count out the Warriors. They're in a real good spot. Vegas still has them as the odds favorite to win this thing. Game 3 is going to be we'll know from the beginning who's there here to play. What I'm kind of expecting to see Klay step up a little bit. I'm kind of expecting to see a 20-point game out of Klay, but I'm also expecting to see Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum both with 25 plus points. Marcus Smart around 15 points. Al Horford to get us about 10 points. Boston's really going to have a full collective team effort to get this done. They've been playing good enough defense to win both games, but they have to keep the turnovers down. They have to take care of the ball. I was watching a little NBA TV and they asked Greg Anthony, "So, Greg, what do you think about game three? Who's going to win this game?" And Greg said, "I'm not sure about game three, but I think at the end of game four, we're going back to San Francisco tied 2 games to 2." I kind of feel the same way. I'm not sure what's going to happen here in game three. I do know that after a loss, Boston is undefeated in these playoffs and they really play well. I do know that they're 1 game over 500 in the playoffs at home, and the Warriors are 1 game under 500 on the road in the playoffs. But you kind of throw all that out the window because these two teams really, really are ready and willing and excited about game three. They both know the importance to a game three. Game threes, game fives, they're very, very pivotal games. I think Boston holds court. I think they get the dub tomorrow night. I think it's going to be a close game for a certain amount of time, but I think the Celtics come out with the victory. And then we'll talk about game four on the next one, and we'll break down game through three after it's done. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great series. Stay tuned. We are in for it for the long haul. I think it could go 7. I've picked Boston in 6, and I'll stick to that, but I would not be surprised at all if there was a game 7 in the city by the bay, one of the most beautiful cities, by the way, in the world. So, stay tuned. You're on a roller coaster in these finals. This is one for the ages. Enjoy, folks. We'll talk to you next time.